Hello. Good afternoon. Good to see you. What a lovely looking crowd. I'm joined here today by my CEO and my wife of 25 years who's touring your great country. She's the boss in more than one way, if you understand. Oksana's in the back taking some photos, so if you see this woman walk around taking pictures of me, it's because she likes me. If you want to take pictures of me, please feel free to do so as well. It's a pleasure to be in your country. This will be my 9th country presenting my strategies that I've developed called Sellcology. Sellcology is the hybrid of selling and psychology. And so I'm fascinated by psychology. I'm fascinated by the way people think. I'm fascinated by why they do what they do. I find people fascinating. If you and I sat and visited for a few minutes, I would find you fascinating. Everybody I've met in my entire life is fascinating to me, mostly because almost everyone I meet is some form of a weirdo. A weirdo is just somebody who is just different than me, wired different than me, thinks different than me, has emotional reactions different than me, does things I would never do, says things I would never say. And so as I look across this room of beautiful people, I see a room filled with weirdos, and you all fascinate me already. You see, I also, though, am a weirdo. I want to admit I might be the captain of the weirdos. In my mind, I am. I have ideas that aren't normal. I come up with ideas that don't make sense. When I first share these ideas, some people say, "Where do you come up with your ideas?" I say, "My brain is weird." And so I want to preface this presentation by giving you permission to think everything I did was weird. It will be okay with me. If you walk out of here and you leave a comment on LinkedIn or you send an email to Paul and say, "That was the weirdest speaker I've ever seen," I will consider it a great compliment. The information I'm going to share with you, I know, will also be weird. It will be not normal. It will be different than what you've seen or done before. And I give you permission to question it. I give you permission to have a skeptical reaction to it. If after you watch this presentation you think, maybe that would work in America, but I don't think it'll work at my store with my customers, I just want you to know that means you have a normal brain. Because you saw what I did and you said, "That's too weird for us." Everywhere I've gone, everywhere I've spoken, all over the world now, I've been in 3,000 dealerships physically I've walked into. I've crossed now, this will be my 9th country, across now 3 different continents, sharing Sellcology and what it is that I believe helps people want to buy from us. And so today's presentation is focused on 2 main ideas. One idea is, how do we cause our team members to want to do their job? Who in the room has ever looked across your team and thought, why won't they just do their job? Has anyone ever had that emotional reaction to seeing your team? Okay, good. I have the right people in the room. If you've ever wondered, why don't they care like they should? Why don't they care for their job? Why don't they have personal pride? Let me tell you why. I have the answer. Because they are a bunch of weirdos. They're not wired like you. They don't think like you. They don't have the same natural thought process you have. What makes obvious sense to you is not obvious to them, because the world is filled with people who are not us. And so leadership, of course, is the ability to understand how to motivate people who in many cases are not like us. And this is true, of course, for the customer. The customer is also not you, and so customers do weird things. See, I find it fascinating that someone will submit an inquiry about a vehicle only to then never respond to any attempt to talk to you again. It's like, you just submitted a lead. I called you right away. You don't answer. I call again. You don't answer. I sent an email. You don't answer. It doesn't make sense, but it does. As long as you understand you're working with weirdos, then it makes perfect sense. It's the customer who comes on the lot, who's there trying to buy a car, is greeted by someone who has access to the keys and the pricing and all the systems. And when that customer sees a salesperson walk up to him and the salesperson says, "How can I help you?" only to be greeted back from the customer by saying, "Oh no, we're just looking." when they're clearly not. Well, who in the world would say, I'm just looking when you're clearly not? You know who would do that? A weirdo. You're catching on. So I'm fascinated by people. I think people are weird and strange and beautiful to me, and I love studying psychology because I love trying to understand why people do what they do. Today we're going to be focused on a concept called the reverse appointment. The reverse appointment. If I was to say to any group of sales professionals, how important is it to work by appointment, to generate appointments, to get appointments to show up, most of us would agree it's very important for our business. But I'm going to try to challenge that a little bit. I'm going to see if I can challenge the status quo, and I'm going to introduce you some new ideas that might make you think a little bit different, a little bit weird about appointments. To get into my presentation, my name is Jonathan Dawson. I'm a dealer consultant. I'm also obviously a speaker, a trainer, a coach, and an author. I also have recently added, which I believe Paul said in his introduction, the title car dealer to my many titles. I now am a dealer. I own a franchise dealership, a Mitsubishi store in Atlanta, Georgia, just north of Atlanta. I bought it 4.5 months ago. Somebody asked me, Paul asked me, he said, why did you do it? I said, I like pain and suffering. I said, I think I'm addicted to stress. I think it was a choice between start another business or have a child. I wanted sleepless nights, and I wasn't sure which way to go. Somebody asked me, they said, how is it being a dealer? And I said, I sleep like a baby. I wake up every 2 hours screaming at the top of my lungs, pooping myself. Just like a baby. But now as a car dealer, as a consultant for 25 years, taking best practices I've collected from different auto groups I've seen, transferring what's transferable to the next one and to the next one, I'm looking for principles and patterns that are transferable because each person is different, but a principle should transcend personality. A principle, something that's a principle, should apply regardless of the person if you apply the principle. It's like a great ingredient recipe for a great meal. If you follow the ingredients and you follow the recipe, it doesn't matter what your personality is, you'll get a great meal. And I believe that's true about principles. So what I want to do is I want to start with a question, or more of a statement that is kind of a statement that creates a question. And it comes from an inspirational conversation I had with a man by the name of David Salyers. Many of you will have never heard his name, but he's a fascinating human. He's a weirdo. David said this, how I view things determines how I do things. How I view things will determine how I do things. The origin of this saying, though, comes from his personal experience as an executive manager for a company called Chick-fil-A. Now, I'm curious here if you would know the name Chick-fil-A. Does anybody know the company Chick-fil-A? A few of you do. Can anybody tell me what they're known for or why you would know their name? Why do you know their name? You've heard they have amazing waffle fries. They do. It's true. What else? Who raised their hand that knew the name? What do you know of, or why would you know the name?
Somebody told me about it.
What did they tell you? It was good food. Yeah, it's very good food. Anybody else have any other impressions, or what have you heard of Chick-fil-A? The most amazing customer experience. You are correct, sir. In fact, at a Chick-fil-A, there will be cars lined up that go around the building 2 times in waiting to go through the drive-thru, while their competitor across the street will have no one there. When a Chick-fil-A moves into that town, the other restaurants just give up. Because if a Chick-fil-A is in your town, they're going to sell everybody fast food. David Salyers was one of the original executives with Chick-fil-A, back when the company only had a handful of locations across the country, and he was tasked with one simple responsibility. What makes us great? What do we do well, and what's transferable? This is what he was tasked to find out. So while at the time they did not yet have 3,000 locations across the country, they only had a few hundred, he was tasked with hopping on a plane, going to all the different locations, taking notes. What do they do well? What's the best practice we can extract from each location? And as he went from location to location, he asked the general managers who were running these places, he asked them this very simple question. What do you believe we do here? Now, I'd like to ask you a strange question. Pretend for a moment, put on your imagination that you are a general manager of a fast food chicken sandwich shop called Chick-fil-A. And an executive from headquarters comes to you and asks you the simple question, what is it that we do here? What do you think your answer might be? What is it that we do here? Let's go ahead and ask some people. Let's see. The gentleman there with the green shirt, if you were to answer, what would you say?
Sell the best sandwiches.
Sell the best sandwiches. It's a great answer. Let's see. Do you mind, sir, right here in the front row? What would you say maybe?
I think I would say the same.
Sell great food.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Let me see if I can get you, sir, right here. What would you say maybe? We make good fast food. He went around, and this is the kind of answers he heard. We make great chicken. We take care of our customer. We create a great experience. And then he went to the number one Chick-fil-A in the nation, which to this day is still number one. It has the highest revenue per square foot, and it produces the most future general managers of Chick-fil-A shops. They come out of this one location. And he asked the general manager this question: what is it we do here? The general manager responded, I see us as a leadership training academy masquerading as a chicken sandwich shop. And it was in that moment that David had an epiphany. It was in that moment that he realized the truth that how I view things determines how I do things. The lens with which you see the opportunity changes what you'll do with the opportunity. So the general manager of the most profitable, most successful Chick-fil-A franchise in the entire nation said, we're a leadership training academy masquerading as a chicken sandwich shop. When David told me that story, it stuck with me forever. I said, I'll never forget that story, and I'll never forget that expression. How I view things will determine how I do things. Making me question, am I viewing things correctly? What do I think I do? Here's some facts and stats if you're not familiar with Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is closed every Sunday while its competitors are not. It loses 52 days a year by simply being closed every Sunday. And yet, even though it's closed to give its people time off, and 67% of all of its employees are 17 years old. Imagine a company that depends on 17-year-olds. I mean, some of you have had a 17-year-old. You know one. You can't even get them to brush their teeth, let alone serve French fries properly. Come on. Their company is comprised, 2/3 of all employees are 17. And yet, the average store nearly does $8.7 million in sales per year, more than doubling a McDonald's. It's the leader in all fast food industry, the most profitable. Their advertising strategy is the company spends a small portion of its marketing revenue on advertising, focusing mostly on word of mouth through customer experience. I think these are interesting things to know. And so what it does is it makes me think of this phrase: how I view things determines how I do things. So I want to start with an image, an idea, to kind of get the conversation going towards the tactical. Some of you are familiar with this, so please forgive me if you've seen this before, but for those who haven't, I think this might be something worth taking a note on and remembering. This is a story of World War II bombers. The way the story goes, as I understand it, is World War II bombers were being sent out to deploy their missions, and as they would return back, the engineers were tasked with a simple job. How do we get more of our airplanes back? And so they said, let's plot the holes of the damage. And so you can see this was a plotting here of where the damage was on the airplanes as they returned home. The engineers were now told a simple thing: we have to get more of our airplanes home, so why don't we try to see if we can make our airplanes able to sustain more damage? So they said, let's reinforce the plane with added steel. We'll put underneath the plane added steel so that there's a better chance of it surviving being shot. Now, the challenge, of course, when you add steel to the bottom of an airplane is if you add too much steel, what happens? It doesn't take off and it can't maneuver. So not enough, and it's not worth doing anything. Too much, and it's not going to make the plane fly. So you have to add just enough and in just the right places. Now, as an engineer, if you're tasked with this, you might say, well, let's figure out how to solve this. So those of you who are note takers, some of you are note takers, I hear the Dutch are actually great artists as well. So if you want to try to replicate something, you can try to replicate what I'm doing right here, which is my airplane. Now, if you were trying to solve this, you'd say, well, wait a second, okay, we've got all this damage, we got all this damage here. We got to reinforce the airplane. So what would you do? And how much do you figure out you can put on there? Because you can't crash your airplanes trying to solve this. So you might say, okay, let's figure out the areas we should protect. If you were to kind of pick the areas you should protect, you might say, okay, what areas did you protect? In your mind, where would you put do you know where to put the reinforcement, sir? Yeah, underneath. Do you know where you'd put it, though? So something like this? Does that make sense to your brain? Yes. Does that make sense to your brain, my friend? Yes. That just means you have a normal brain. Okay? Now, here's the challenge, though. The challenge is if you put the reinforced steel here, you're still going to lose your airplanes. See, the problem with this is if you put your reinforced steel there, that's actually not the area to protect. That's the area that got your attention because that's where the bullet holes are, and wherever you see bullet holes and fire, you want to pay attention in general. But if you protect those areas, that's where the plane can get hit and still return. See, the plane can get hit there multiple times and still make it home. So putting reinforcement there is not the problem. Just like identifying patterns in any other place, you have to say, well, wait a second, what are we not seeing? You see, if a plane gets hit here, it doesn't come home. If it gets here, it doesn't come home. If it gets here, it doesn't come home. You see, just like a business, just like people, we fall into patterns. And if you're trying to fix the wrong thing by focusing on the wrong pattern, we get so caught up in our broken processes instead of asking, what do we do well? Most managers sit around talking about the broken process at their company instead of asking, what do we do better than most and can we double down on that? What are we the best in the world at and what can we double down on? You focus on the wrong things, you get the wrong results. These are the areas that should be protected. We got to figure out, why is that? Telling salespeople they should follow up clearly doesn't work. How many of you have ever told your people they should follow up? Anybody ever told them that? How'd that work for you? Did they all magically start following up then? No, it's not enough to tell them they should all follow up. Of course they should. But they don't know how to, and they don't know why to, and they don't know how to get a result from it, and so they get discouraged quickly. So what I study is fundamentally patterns. Psychology, of course, is a field of patterns. Because if human beings did not fall into patterns of behavior, there would be no field called psychology. There would be nothing you'd be studying except chaos. So I find patterns fascinating. Your business is filled with patterns. In fact, if I was to coach any of your salespeople, what I would do is I would sit down with them, and one of the first things I'd do is I'd ask them to write down the patterns of their day. What are the things that happen over and over and over again? What are some things you run into over and over and over again? What are some things that customers say or do over and over and over again? What I want to do is I want to defuse their mental stress by helping them realize that all they're experiencing is not problems, they're just patterns. They're not running into objections, they're just running into patterns of human behavior. That's all it is. And once you realize that all this is just an interaction with a pattern of a human behavior, it's no longer personal, which means there's no rejection. There's nothing to get upset about. How am I going to get upset that you have a pattern of behavior? How many of your salespeople, if they have a rude or kind of an unkind customer, I don't know what the name is you guys have in your language, we have words for them in the States, but customers who come in, Johnny Jerk, right? Comes in flexing his muscles and being whatever. So you have your Johnny Jerks, right? How many of your salespeople, sometimes they take it personal and they get all upset? And it's like, why are you mad that this person was not hugged enough as a child? Why is that your problem? How can I help that? So it's patterns. So psychology is the study of how people are wired and why people are weird, and that's what we're going to get into today. So my passion comes from this very simple thing. I believe that everyone is different, but in the same ways. So as I get into the material here, I just want you to understand that what I'm about to show to you is different. And you may say, I don't know if my customers would like that, or I don't know how they would react to that. And all I'm going to say back is, you're probably right about some of them. But what I found is human beings in general are the same. As much as we're different, we're just people. And so I value being treated with respect. You probably also value being treated with respect. I value being seen as special and important. You probably also value when people see you special and important. And so if we can take the customer experience and make it about the customer instead of about a transaction and trying to sell a car, or about an appointment and trying to get a task checked off, we can actually cause people to become our advocates. And the way that we're going to do this is through the appointment. Let's start. What is the goal? What is the purpose? What is the end in mind? Suppose I asked you all this question here. They're getting applauses already. Now I feel insecure. I'm going to have to do something really spectacular to get an applause here in a moment. All right, so what is the goal? What is the purpose? What is the end in mind? If I asked you this question, a lead handling process, what is the main goal of handling a lead the right way? Somebody please tell me, what is the goal of handling leads the right way? Who knows an answer? What's an answer, please? Yes, sir? To convert them. Yes, somebody else? To sell the car. Somebody else. What's the goal? Yes? Quick. Yeah, quick response. What else? Create a conversation, get a connection going. A happy customer, I would hope. Somebody might say, yes, sir? Sorry? Get their attention? Yeah. Somebody might also say, set an appointment. Get them to come in. Right? So when I ask this question all over the country, I hear these kinds of things all over the place. People say to respond quickly or quicker. Our lead process is get a response to the customer quick, right? How quick can we respond? How quick can we respond? We time this thing. How quick? Well, how fast did we respond to them? Which I think is important. To set an appointment, get them to commit to an appointment, to get them in, and to sell the car. If right now your brain is saying these are the goals of an appointment process, I would just say your brain is normal. You have a very normal brain. However, I want to challenge it a little bit. I don't know that that should be our main goal. I don't think that this should be our main focus because how I view things determines how I do things. And if I have a goal to respond quickly, we'll create up processes, maybe technology, that responds really fast. But that by itself, which is good, doesn't mean that the customer is now going to want to do business with you. How many of you know that there is a higher value between these two? Responding to them the quickest or getting them to respond to us the quickest? Which is more valuable, our response time to them or their response time to us? What's more valuable? Theirs to us. But yet, we don't really track that metric, do we? We have a metric for how quick did we respond to them, but no one's really asking how quickly are customers responding to us. Are we intentionally trying to trim the time from the time we attempt to reach out to how quickly they connect back with us? Are we giving them good reason to connect back with us? Or even setting the appointment. How many here know that you can set an appointment with someone who has no intention of showing up? Has that ever happened? Yeah. In the States, we call it chasing ghosts. We call the team the Ghostbusters, right? Trying to get these ghosts, trying to catch ghosts. You know, you send follow-up message, email, whatever. You know, it's like these people aren't even responding. You know, or even with the goal to sell a car, my man said to transact, to convert, to sell a car. Yeah, of course, but if my goal is to sell the car, there are sales teams that will try to sell the car on the phone. And then they sell the person on buying the car, but then they just go buy it somewhere else, but not from you. So they are sold on the car, they're just not sold on you. And so I say, let's ask a slightly different question. What about the reverse appointment? What's the reverse appointment? Here, let's ask a new question. What's the goal of a reverse appointment? It's to cause the client to want to meet you. Let's ask a different question here. What if I said the purpose of a great lead response system is to cause the person on their end to want to meet you? Now, what I might do might be different. See, if my goal is to simply get a response quickly, I can literally buy a technology that does that. Solved. I stopped the clock the fastest. Sure you did. But did they respond back? And to what degree? Yes, you set a lot of appointments, but did they show? And when they show, are they prepared to buy? Maybe. So instead I said, what if I could take what happens occasionally and understand the science of it? Who in the room is aware of this happening? A lead comes in, somebody on the phone or engages with the client, and in the course of the conversation, the client then says, we'd like to come in Thursday around 3 p.m. Will you be there if we come Thursday at 3? Now, what do you think is the appointment show rate for someone who sets the appointment with the client, with the advisor? What's the show rate of that? It's almost 100%. If the client sets the appointment with the advisor, says, here's what we'd like to do. We'd like to come in and are you going to be there at 3 p.m. on Thursday? If the client sets the appointment, the show rate's almost 100%. Whereas if the sales advisor sets the appointment, it might be 30% show rate in some places. So what is the difference? The difference is psychology. The difference is, on one end, we want to set an appointment, but on the other end, do they want to meet you? And that's the question that haunted me. I said, well, if it can happen occasionally, can it happen on purpose? If it can happen once a month to a sales professional, can it happen twice a month? Can it happen once a week? If we can cause someone to want to set an appointment with us, can we cause them to do that consistently? What's the pattern? What's the psychology? And that's what I want to share with you, what I've discovered. And here's my big, bold promise. If you will do the things I teach, if you will take notes on the ideas I'm about to give you, if you will implement these strategies back at your store, it will dramatically and traumatically change your appointment show rates and your profitability. Because if I ask you all this very simple question about human beings, what is one of the benefits that comes from a customer who wants to meet the professional keeping their appointment? What is likely to also be true about that transaction sale? If they set the appointment to come in and they want to come in, what is also likely to be true once they get there? What also will be a benefit? Somebody tell me. They'll want to buy the car. Their desire to do business went up, which means your close ratio improves. What else probably improves? What's that? Yes, the value of the transaction. You have less negotiation with someone you want to do business with. When you want to buy from somebody, you don't want to negotiate with them. My wife and I were in Belgium yesterday. We went to Antwerp, and of course we have to go to the Diamond District. I know it's not your economy, but I did support their economy. We went to the Diamond District, and my wife is not impulsive. It's not her thing to buy spontaneously. I said, let's just go in. Let's just look. There's no cost to look. Sit in the shop, and this gentleman was really lovely. He was a lovely man. And he was so kind and so patient and showed so many different rings and gave so many different options and was polite about it and wasn't pushy. And I liked him. And when he rang up the total, he said, you know what, I'll do it for this number here. And I said, why? Why did you just discount your price? I was upset that he gave me a discount. I didn't want him to. I wanted to just pay the money. He insisted. So I said, okay. But here's my point. Because of what he created in the environment and experience, I was willing to pay it all. And I wonder how many of our customers we could cause them to want to do business with us and want to pay us a reasonable profit if they wanted to do business with us. So let's take a look at this. If you'll do this stuff, it'll dramatically change all these things. Here are the steps, the 7 steps to reverse appointment. Now, if I had all day with you, I would cover all the steps. I don't have all day, so I'm only doing this portion of my presentation, the 7 steps. And here's what they are. If you're taking photos, this is a great photo to take of this slide. This is the 7 steps. These are the principles that, if followed, cause a reverse appointment. Let's break them down. The first one is called pattern recognition. In my opinion, before you solve any process, you start with what's already happening. Before we try to fix anything, we should always ask what's already happening now. What does it look like currently before we try to change anything? What are the current patterns that we're observing? Pattern recognition means we have to look at things like, what's the most common objections? What's the most common sticking points? When does it work well? When does it work poorly? What does it look like when it works really well? What are the core ingredients and so forth? So we're going to break down pattern recognition. Now, when it comes to a lead, what do I mean by that? I want to start with things like the lead source or type, because new car leads are different than pre-owned leads, and not all source lead providers are the same. Some are obviously higher quality, some give higher quality data, but I want to start looking at the patterns. For example, if at my dealership I have 4 or 5 different lead providers, I want to start dissecting them, doing an audit. Which one produces the most leads? Which one produces the most content within a lead? Which one has a lower funnel lead that's more likely to transact quicker? Which one ultimately is a more profitable conversion funnel? I want to know these things because if I understand my math, I can make decisions about how to communicate with these people. So I'm looking for patterns. The next pattern I'm looking for is the contact info and the email type. You see, again, back in the United States, we have a bunch of different email providers. I'm sure it's true here in the Netherlands. So for example, we have Hotmail, Yahoo, Gmail, Outlook, we have AOL, right? So we have these email addresses. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for clues about these people. Let me give you an example. I had an email that came through, and I was working with a sales team, and they were telling me, John, here's a lead that's not responding. How would you do it? I said, pull up the lead, let's look. The first thing I'm looking for is any clues in the lead form itself. The first clue I notice is the email address was snoopdog89@hotmail.com. Now, without knowing anything else about the human being, you all tell me, what do you think you know is true about Snoop Dogg 89? It was probably not Snoop Dogg himself. If you had to place a bet, do you think it's a man or a woman with this email address? If you had to place a bet. I'm guessing it's a man. I'm looking for patterns and clues. If you had to place a bet, is it below the age of 45 or above the age of 45? What do you think? Hold on. What? Somebody is saying below, some. Why? Why though? My man, he caught the clue. What was the clue? Hotmail was the clue. Yes, Hotmail. Your average 35-year-old's not walking around with a Hotmail address. 45, 47, 52, you have a Hotmail address. Is that right? That's a clue, right? So I'm just looking for clues because where everyone else sees a task, I see a person. Everyone else sees a lead, I see an opportunity to connect. So sometimes sales teams would ask me, John, what do you do when there's nothing in the lead? What do you do when there's nothing there? And I say, nothing is everything to the person who knows how to look at nothing. Even nothing tells me a lot about you. You had all these chances to give me information and you didn't give it to me. That tells me about your psychology. So I get this e-lead and it's snoopdog89@hotmail.com and I'm looking at it and I said, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this pattern to do the next step, which is pattern interrupt. And I'll show you that in a moment. But I'm looking for clues. What's the email type? You know, I had another lady, her email came through, and it was fuzzyslippers67@AOL.com. Now, if you don't know AOL is America Online, one of the earliest email providers out there. So this lady is born in 67, right? So I'm looking for clues. Sometimes I'll see an email, and it'll come through, and it'll have a work email address. And it's being sent from their work email. And it's sent in the middle of the day. So here's my guess, if I'm guessing about psychology and looking for patterns. A work email address sent in the middle of a work day, they're probably still at work. So some providers or some trainers will tell you, send a video to everybody immediately. Your first message should be a video. I say in general, maybe. But if I'm sending to a work email in the middle of the day, they might be at an office and all of a sudden they click a link and, hi, thanks for your interest in the cars. Right? They're trying to find the mute button. So I just said, okay, maybe not every time, right? We look for clues. I also do social searches and sometimes even Google the lead. If I get information from somebody, I might Google them. I'm trying to see, is there anything I can find out about this person? For example, if you sent me a lead and I saw your name and I saw your work email, I Google that work email address. I'll Google your name. I might find out that you're an accountant, or I might find out that you're head of marketing. Now you tell me, just in general, before I send a response to a lead, one is an accountant, the other one's head of creative marketing. Should I send the same email to both people? Of course not. But if you don't pause for a second, because all you're concerned about is speed to the lead, how quick can we respond? Send them out a template, automate everything. I get it. It's hard. But how I view things determines how I do things. So my goal is I want to make sure that I'm causing the customer to want to connect with me, not simply did I check a box and respond to a lead. So pattern recognition gives me the information that I need. It tells me, for example, things like temperament and openness. Because when I get a lead in, if there's nothing in the lead versus there's a little note section and there's an entire bio in the lead. Again, I don't know if you've ever seen these leads come through, but some leads come through and it's just like their initials and a fake phone number. And that's it. You're like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? And then other leads will come through and it'll be like their name, their middle name, their last home address, their fax number. Don't know what I'm supposed to do with a fax number. And then it'll be like 2 email addresses, a home phone and a work phone and a cell phone. And then the notes section will say, when I was a child, it's this whole like biography about them. These are not the same human beings. And so when I realize like everything is a pattern and everything is a clue, I start asking new questions because how I view things determines how I do things. So step 1 is look for the patterns in any process before you change it. Step 2 then is pattern interruption. I have to get through the noise. I have to break through the pattern. I have to cause them to now connect with me in a new way. So pattern interruption means I'm going to change how I approach things. I might use the source-based opener. Source-based opener is where in the opening email, my subject line might reference the source they came through. So for example, if they were on my website, my subject line might see, I see you were on our website looking at vehicles. How do you like our site? Or for example, if they used an aftermarket third-party provider, I might say something like, I help all fill-in-the-blank lead providers. I can help you too. And I'm using that as a source-based opener where I'm referencing the source that it came through. When you use source-based openers, people's brain goes, oh, this is the same continuation of the process I started. Email-based openers is where I reference something in the email that they provided to me. I shared with you Snoop Dogg 89. Here was my subject line in my reply to Snoop Dogg 89. Subject line, bow, wow, wow, yippee, yo, yippee, yay. Why not? He's the one who gave me that email address. Now, I'm not suggesting every lead should get a bow wow subject line. But what I'm saying is I'm trying to connect with a human being. I'm not trying to respond to a lead. My goal is not how do I respond to a lead. My goal is how do I cause this person to want to talk to me. The opening body of the email. Fashnizzle manizzle. I couldn't help but notice your email address was Snoop Dogg, one of the greatest poets of our time. If you'd ever like to talk about great rap or great cars, love to connect and chat. That was it. That was the email. Not, thank you so much for your inquiry in our 2000 blah, 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 bleh. Give me a break. Fuzzy Slippers, 67 at AOL. My subject line. I like fuzzy slippers too. Open the body of the email. My email said, I couldn't help but notice your email address was fuzzy slippers. I like fuzzy slippers too. Here's a pair of fuzzy slippers you might enjoy. Photo of some slippers. If you'd ever like to have a conversation about fuzzy slippers or a relaxing car buying experience, I'm here to help. Love to connect soon. Send. She replied back so quick, it was funny. She sent back, and her email said, you won't believe what I'm wearing right now, and a picture of the woman's feet in fuzzy slippers. You see, I'm not trying to respond to a lead. I'm trying to get this person to want to talk to me. And so, to me, it's not about a task. It's about connection. It's about how do I connect the fastest, not how do I respond the fastest. Sometimes I use negative openers. Let's say, for example, someone used a third-party lead provider. My subject line might read this. 3 common mistakes people who use XYZ company often mistake or make. Then the body of the email. If you used XYZ company to shop for your car, here are the most common mistakes that people make when shopping for a car. And then I give them some information. And they say, if you would like to prevent making these mistakes, please let me know. I'm happy to walk you through the process without you making mistakes. It's called a negative opener. Sometimes, for example, when I have a lead that hasn't responded right away, I'll send an email like this. I'm sorry, I feel like we've made a terrible mistake and I'd like to apologize. That's my subject line. Everybody opens that email. People love bad news. People love when other people did something wrong. When the body of the email, it simply says, I noticed we've made several attempts to connect with you without being able to do so. It's possible that our team came across too pushy or too aggressive. It's possible you've exited the marketplace and are no longer in the market for a car. It's possible that you've been stressed out. and haven't been able to find someone who's been able to help you. I wanted to apologize if you've had a difficult time, and we'd like to make it right. People love when people apologize, because so few people do. Personalized openers. This is where you, again, connect and relate to somebody based on the information that you're getting in the lead. For example, just guess. Try to use empathy and imagine. A lead comes through with a female name. They're inquiring about a multi-passenger vehicle like a 6-passenger SUV, something that can carry lots of people. If you had to guess, she's also sending it from a work email address. Tell me, on a scale of 1 to 10, a woman at work shopping for a multi-passenger vehicle is in general, how stressed all the time? You tell me. Ladies in the room. Stressed. How many things does she have to juggle in her life? 1, 2, or 1,000,000? 1,000,000. So I see this lead. And what do I see? I see patterns. I see a female name, shopping for an SUV, using a work email just during work hours, which means she's multitasking, trying to get as much stuff done as she can in the window of her life. So my opening subject line is, are you stressed? I'd like to take away your stress. That's my subject line. She opens up the body of the email. It says, I couldn't help but notice that you're sending me an email from your work email address in the middle of the day, shopping for a vehicle with multi-passenger seating, which tells me you have a lot of responsibilities in your life. If you would like someone to take away your stress and make this entire process easy and painless, I can help. You know what happens to the person reading that? They go, someone who understands me. They go, someone who gets my life. This is what it's about to me. Because I love people. I'm fascinated by people. So I just go, what would this person care about? And how do I connect with them in a way that makes them want to meet me? That's the goal. The next step then is proactivity. Under the proactivity step, the goal here is very simple. All I want to do is imagine their state of mind using empathy for 4 critical parts. What are their anticipated fears? What are their possible goals? What are their common questions? And what are their typical objections? And all I want to do is pretend for a moment, if I was them, what would I be afraid will happen? If I was them, what is the thing I would want to have happen? If I was them, what questions or objections would I have? And the goal of this step here, proactivity, is all I have to do is say what you're thinking for you. You see, here's the way the human brain works, and I find this part fascinating about human beings, is that if I think the way that you think, if I think like you will like the way that I think. Isn't that simple? If I think the way you think, you'll like the way that I think. You know why, my friend? What's your name, my friend? Is it Robert? I can't tell. Reuben. Reuben, do you know why it is that if you think like I think that you'll like that? Here's why, Reuben. Because when I hear someone say my thoughts, I immediately recognize them as genius. And I go, a fellow genius. And there's so few of us in the world. We should be friends. You see, when we meet someone who thinks like us, our brain it just naturally goes, someone who gets life. How many of you have ever been in a conversation with someone who doesn't think like you, and you genuinely wonder how they've even made it this far in life? Right? Haven't you met some people and you're talking to them after a few minutes and you're like, I'm surprised you've made it this long. You're like, how did you arrive at these conclusions? You're such a weirdo. So when I meet somebody who thinks like me, I like the way that they think, which means I start to like them. See, if I think like you think, you'll like the way I think. You'll start to like me. You'll likely want to meet me. Because we like being around people who are like us. Which is why things like religious affiliation and political affiliation and sports league affiliation are so common. Why? Because we like to be around people who get it. Imagine for a moment just being at a social gathering where you know nobody. You know absolutely nobody. You're just there. And you hear 2 people having a conversation, a dialogue. And they're talking about something heated, a political topic, a religious topic, a sports topic. It's who's the better. In the States, it would be Michael Jordan or LeBron James, right? Who's the better, right? And they're debating. And you clearly have picked out who's the smart one and who's the idiot. Right? Right away you can tell this person's clearly done their research. Well, this person shouldn't be allowed in public. And so immediately, even if the conversation ended and you weren't even part of it, who would you feel the most comfortable walking up to and engaging? Which one? It's the one that thinks like you. That's the one you'd naturally walk up to, and your opener would be simple. I'd walk up and say, can you believe that guy? What a goober. Who thinks like that? And you'd have instant rapport. Why? Because of the way that the brain works. And so what is proactivity? It's about understanding this, asking the question, what is my client's goals? What are their fears? And how do I say them first? The next step in the process is permission. When we invite ourselves into a process by asking for permission, people then feel like it's a collaboration instead of some sort of dictatorial process. It's collaboration if I say, can I help you with this? I'd like to help you. Here's how I can help you. Is that okay? And so what we want to do is during the process, we want to offer our help. But we don't want to offer our help initially. How many of you have ever seen this? And who, by the way, did anybody in the room come up through retail operations? Did anybody sell cars for a while before you got to your role? Do I have some car salesmen in the room? My man. The gentleman in the green shirt, you raised your hand, is that right? Yeah. Could I ask anybody in the room who actually did go up through retail operations, I want to put you in an awkward position here. And you have the right to say no, of course. But I'd prefer that you don't, as a personal preference to me. But I'd like somebody to interact with me real quick and just do a little dialogue, a little role play exchange real quick. Do I have anybody who'd be willing to volunteer? Can I get somebody brave enough to try this with me? Would you be willing to? My man, can we invite him up to the stage? Can everybody welcome him to the stage? Paul, can I get the mic? Can we get this gentleman the mic here? Come on up stage. Have you been on stage before?
Yes.
Okay, you're a natural then. What's your name, please?
Mike.
Mike, pleasure, Mike. I want to just interact with Mike real quickly and to demonstrate what I mean about the way the brain works and how this can happen on the lot, it can happen online, it can happen on a phone call. Mike, I'd like you to just, if you will, be a salesperson and just greet me. All right? I'm just the customer. You're just going to walk up and start the exchange. I'm on the lot. Just come over and say hi. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi there.
I'm Mike.
Nice to meet you.
How can I help you?
Right now, I'm just actually, what do they all say? I'm just what? Right now, I'm just looking, if that's okay.
What are you looking for?
I'm just going to look around a little bit, and then if I need something, I'll come get you. Is that okay? Yeah. There you
Only thing you can say
go.
is
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, right. All right. Now, just curious, does anybody think that happens? Does that happen? Yeah, okay, just making sure. Because it happens everywhere, right? And I don't know, again, please, Mike, tell me, where did you sell cars?
Longest was at BMW.
Okay, was that here local?
In-
Relatively?
Yeah, relatively.
Okay. I don't know where that's at, so it could be anywhere. Okay. So tell me if you can relate to this. I was doing some training in a dealership in rural Oklahoma. It was a Kia store. And I had asked the sales team, what are the most common objections that you get? Now, could you help me out, Mike? We're just going to do this together.
Yep.
Because, again, we're just trying to figure out how do we get customers to want us to help them, yeah? All right. Most common objections that customers would give a salesperson within the first 5 minutes to give resistance. What are they going to say?
Probably the looking around.
Yeah,
thing.
just looking, yeah.
Yeah.
Give me another one. What's also very common? What do people say? How much time do they have? What do they say?
Yeah, short on time.
Yeah, no time, okay. Yeah, what else do they say? Into the mic, yeah?
That they're not at this moment.
Yeah, not buying today, right?
Yeah.
Not buying today, yep. Not buying today, okay. Sometimes they'll pair that up by letting you know it's my first stop. Is that, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, first stop. And all they're hoping to get today, though, is what? All they want to get right now is what? What's the only thing they really want to know?
Information,
Yeah, what kind, though?
price offer.
Yeah, in fact, sometimes they might even be as bold as saying the best price.
Yeah.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so just curious. If I said, how common would you say this is in your experience as a salesperson?
Yeah,
How
really-
typical?
Really common.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm in the Kia store in Oklahoma. The sales team gives me this list. Later that week, I was going to an Aston Martin dealership to train for the very first time in my life walking into Aston Martin. I'm just curious. We have a room full of retail people, auto industry professionals. If you've never, ever in your entire life been in an Aston Martin, Lamborghini, Ferrari dealership, in your entire life, you've never been in the dealership. Can you wave at me if you've never been in one before? Even the majority of the room. I had never been in one before. I walk into this dealership, Mike. It's an Aston Martin dealership.
Yep.
I'm intimidated. They're the James Bond of car salespeople, right? And they're selling $300,000 cars. And I asked the room, what's your top challenges that you experienced? Do you know what they said? What about the guy who's just looking? What about the guy who's not buying today? The one with no time. The one who just first... I was like, this is the same nonsense that happens at Kia. This is absurd. Now, have you ever traveled internationally with the automotive industry? Have you ever gone to other dealerships in different countries?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Not much.
Mike, I went to Russia. Have you been to Russia?
No, I haven't.
I went to an Audi dealership in Russia, in Volgograd. I asked a salesman. His name was Ivan. There was a room full of... I said, what's your biggest challenges? Ivan speaks up. He says, John, biggest problem we have here. Customer, just looking, not buying today, best price. John, how you deal, he says. So I'm back at the Kia store in Oklahoma. This is the same list. This is insane. And then I went to New Zealand. Have you been to New Zealand?
No.
Just in case you want to go to New Zealand and sell cars, let me tell you how it works. I go to New Zealand. I'm in Auckland, New Zealand. I have a room full of Kiwis, right? That's what they call them. Kiwi salespeople in New Zealand. A SsangYong store. I'd never even heard of SsangYong in my life. I don't even know what it is, but I'm there training a sales team. And a room full of Kiwi salespeople, and I said, what are your biggest challenges? And a guy named Tom McCartney throws up a hand and says, you got a duck on the pond, yeah? I said, I'm sorry? A duck on the pond. A duck on the pond. Do you know what a duck on the pond is?
No, I don't know
I
the
didn't
expression.
either, Mike. I said, what is that? He said, out on the yard. I said, out on the yard. Are you saying customer on the lot? He said, yeah. I said, could you speak English, please, and help me out a little bit? He says, they're just looking. They're not buying today, and they just want your best price. How do you deal with them, mate? I'm back at the Kia store in Oklahoma. So your dealership was located where?
In Goor, Hof van Twente.
Sure. Sounds lovely. Sounds like a lovely place. I imagine it is. Sounds beautiful. And this was happening there?
Yes, it is.
Isn't that amazing how people are the same everywhere? So he walked up, and let's reverse the map. I just want to show you why this matters. Because it applies to the online as it does on the phone, as it does on the lot, because it's all people. It's all people. When you walked up, can you do your greeting one more time, Mike, just the way you normally did it?
Yep. Hi,
Yep.
I'm Mike. How can I help you?
Right now I'm...
Just looking.
Yeah. Let's play a word game association. Now, I understand your brain has to translate, so I'll let you translate. And if you speak multiple languages, you can take your time. I'm going to say a word. I just want you to say the first English word that comes to mind, though. Let's just play a little word game. I'll say a word, you say a word back, okay? I'll say a word, up.
Down.
Everybody participate, please. Help Mike out. Left.
Right.
White.
Narrow.
Stop.
Go.
Salesperson.
Customer.
Just... You know what I've never heard in all my travels, in all the world, of all the stages? No one's ever said the word back, helpful. Ever. Now that's interesting, isn't it, to know that? Because when he walked up, the very first thing he offered was what? That he could help. But you see, my brain has no natural association between salesperson and helpful. So when he initiates by offering to help, my brain initiates by reacting, no thank you. Because my association with salespeople is not that they're helpful. There are a lot of things, but helpful's not one of them. I know as a young salesperson, Mike, I don't know if you ever had a customer do this to you, but this is what it was like for me as a brand new salesperson selling cars. My customer would come up and they would start telling me this. And then they would say, all they want is the best price. And of course, I would say, would you like to drive a car while you're here? And they would say back, no thanks, don't need to drive it, just need the price. Now again, maybe at your dealerships it's different, but at my dealership, we were informed that it's better to try to sell the car first before you just give a number. Because a number absent any value is always too high a number. Is that true here in the Netherlands as well?
Yep.
Oh, just making sure you're humans. So when my manager would tell me, you need to get this information, you need to get the customer to slow down, I would run into problems, Mike, because I would have a customer who says they just want the best price. I'm supposed to go tell my boss, I need the best price. My boss is going to ask, did they look at a car? No. Did they drive one? No. What are we doing here? So here's what I would prefer Mike do, and I'm going to show him a way he could do things different. Then I want to get back into the lead management, but I just want to tie everything together so you understand this is about human beings. It's not about lead management. It's about people, okay? Mike, we're talking about permission right now. I don't want you to offer your help. Instead, answer this question, Mike. What does everyone agree is helpful when shopping for a car? If I surveyed 100 people, do they all agree that car salespeople are helpful?
No.
Do they all agree information is helpful?
I think it is, yeah.
Yes. If I surveyed 100 people and said, is information helpful when buying a car? What would 100 people say? Yes. So instead of coming up and offering yourself as helpful, which people do not find agreeable, offer that which you know they would agree to, which is information. Begin by offering the thing they already want. Don't offer the thing they might not want. Does that make sense?
Yes, it is.
So you're going to start by asking me a question that has the word information in it. Do your best, give it a shot.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mike.
Hi there.
What kind of information are you looking for today?
Now watch this. Is there anything for me to reject? No. There's nothing to reject. There is no, I'm just looking to that question. But we can go one step further because we understand the way the brain works. And Mike, you'll just demonstrate this if you don't mind. When it comes to information, I'm going to make a claim that I believe is 100% true, but you tell me if you agree. The rest doesn't matter, just you and me.
Yep.
The type of information that a person wants when they're shopping for a car falls into two primary categories of information type. Information about this and information about this. And ultimately, they need both of these types of information. Can you fill in the blank? What kind of information do they need? Information about A and B. What is A and B?
Would it be like the price and the car itself?
I think so. When people are shopping for a car, how many of you, let's survey the audience, would agree that what people ultimately want to do is gain or confirm information about the vehicle or the price so they can make a decision? Who thinks that's generally true? Okay, then this will work with your customers, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're not going to simply say what information, we're going to actually offer the types of information. Would you like information on, or, and that's what you're going to offer. Try that.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi there.
I'm Mike. Are you looking for information about one of the cars or the price?
Or possibly,
Yeah. Or both? Yeah.
that's it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And now, again, I'm just going to give my version of this, and this is just, again, the way that I teach in the States, but it sounds something like this when I teach it back home. It goes like this. I'll say, hi, sir, welcome to our dealership. Are you here looking at some vehicles in general, or are you looking for something specific today? General or specific? I might start with that. Or I might say, hi, sir, welcome to the dealership. Are you here looking at some vehicle information? Are you looking at some pricing information, or both? What information are you looking for today?
That should get the conversation going, yeah.
Right? Is there anything to reject?
No.
No. You see, I don't offer my help until I demonstrate that I'm helpful. And that's important. Most people start out by saying, how can I help you, only to be rejected, because you haven't proven yourself to be helpful yet. And speaking of helpful, can we all give Mike a round of applause? Thank you, Mike. So the idea here is permission comes later because I don't initiate asking for my permission to help. I first demonstrate that I, in fact, understand your situation. Then I'm going to offer to help with pricing or to help with options of vehicles, to help with possible information they want, or help with the process. I only offer myself as helpful if I've already demonstrated myself to be helpful. Do not initiate a conversation asserting your helpfulness when that is still in question. The next part is possibilities, because people in general like options. So because people like options, I'm going to then offer options to people, give them multiple ways they can do something. Offering options and possibilities includes possibly offering them alternative vehicles or alternative forms of financing, maybe alternative process or possibly alternative information. But when I start providing choices to people, people relax when they don't feel stuck. When you're only given one choice, the human brain feels a fight or flight. It feels like a take it or leave it. It feels stuck and trapped. But when you're given choices and possibilities, the brain relaxes, it feels free. And when we're trying to create an atmosphere where the customer wants to engage with us, we need to be the person that causes them to want to meet us because they feel free. The last two ones here as we wrap up, and then I'm going to give you an example. Providing a CTA. A CTA is a marketing term. It means call to action. What it means is when we are in the point of the process where we want someone to do something, be very clear about the thing we want them to do. Take away the ambiguity and the confusion of what it is you actually want someone to do. So for a CTA or a call to action in a lead response, I'm going to have things like these basic rules. I want to make it very obvious what I want them to do. I want to make it very simple for their brain to do. I want to make it very reasonable for them to do, and I want to make it desirable for them to do. Let me show you where we mistake. Oftentimes on a phone call, the sales professional will say, "When can you come in?" with no reference point to the distance of their travel. When I'm on a phone call and I say, "When can you come in?" but I don't yet know where you live. I don't yet know how far I am from you. What I do is I show you that I have no empathy for your life because I asked you to make a decision to come see me without knowing if I'm asking you to cross countries, cross water, cross whatever. So instead, I say, be careful asking somebody to do something that they don't yet want to say yes to. I would encourage any single men in the room, make sure she wants to say yes before you propose. It's awkward if you ask too soon. In the same way here, when I'm calling someone to action, I want to make sure whatever I'm asking them to do is very easy for their brain to say yes to. The last piece is called a PS statement, the postscript. It's the final thought. As I wrap up my email response to somebody or wrap up a conversation, I give them a final closing thought, one last thing. A PS statement could include things like offering a personal promise, a statement of your personal conviction that you'll help them. It could be offering a link to maybe your calendar to schedule a time that's appropriate. It could be a link to your address so they can easily find you, or a link to your reviews so they know that you're a quality business to do business with. These are the 7 steps of creating a reverse appointment, causing someone to then want to come meet you. When all these things are put into action, I want to show you what this looks like with a real lead, with a real customer, and a real salesperson following these very simple steps. Here was an inbound lead that came in. The opportunity looked like this. This comes from AutoTrader. AutoTrader is a third-party website in the United States. So this is the lead information. Now, the first thing we do is step 1, which is called pattern recognition. We look for clues. Under pattern recognition, we have to ask ourselves, if I take a look at this, what do I already know or what do I have? So what do we have so far? Tell me what we know. Well, before that, what do we know? Before that, what do we know? Before that. We know what? The source. The first thing we know is a source, which is AutoTrader, which specializes in pre-owned inventory searching. We know that. Okay, so we know the source. Then we know Renata, which we assume is a female, and that's a safe bet, I think. Then somebody said, what else do we know? But I would ask you, do you know that she's a lawyer? What do you know? She what? She knows lawyers. What do we know, though? We know that she works where? Robert Half Legal. Do we know that she's a lawyer? No, but we can assume certain things, that she works around the legal environment, but we don't know what she does yet. What else do we have? We have a zip code. That doesn't give us our address, but we have a zip code. So we have that. What else do we have? We have an offer, right, on a vehicle. That's what she wants to pay. What's missing? What do we not have? We don't have phone numbers. What else do we not have? We don't have the full address. We don't have a time frame. We don't have trade-in information. What patterns do we see in the lead? We use these patterns and we go to work. This is what she's looking for. Let's go to work. We're going to create a reverse appointment. Now, just so you know what I actually did, I was at a dealership in California. We were training on responses. I said, here's what I want you to do. Here's the 7 steps. I explained them the same way I explained them to you. I then told the salespeople, all go to an unresponded lead, someone you've had no interaction with yet, and just follow the 7 steps. Then before you hit send, have me come over and look at the computer, and then we'll hit send together. So Tim, the salesperson, said, hey, John, I did everything you said, except I hit send already. Great. Let's look at what you did. That's okay? Baby steps, baby steps. But what did he do? He said, John, the first thing I did is I went to Google and I just put in Robert Half Legal.
You go to Google and you type in Robert Half Legal, because that's the professional email address she used. So therefore, she must work there. So what do we do now? We come here, click on the site, see what we can find out about the company. Looks like it's a professional services company.
So now we know it's a professional services company. So then the next thing he did, he said, I looked up the zip code. So he said, the X is where the dealership is. The car is where Robert Half Legal is, so that's where she works. So our goal is to do that. I said, hey, did you do this yet? Which he hadn't done. Does everybody know what the orange dots are? What do they represent? There are other competitor dealerships. There are other used car dealerships that she's going to drive past to come see us. So we want her to drive from her work to come see us. We have to drive past all of our competitors, which means we have to give her good reasons to do so. Thankfully, he wrote a really great email. Let's take a look at his email one step at a time, because he actually did a great job. He only missed one part I would have changed, which was not a critical part. Let's look at it together. This is his pattern interruption subject line. Couldn't help myself, but I see that you work at Robert Half Legal. Not, thank you for your interest in our Jeep, but I couldn't help myself. I see that you work at this email address. He said, Renata, when I see your email ends with that Robert Half Legal, I decided to do some research about your company as I wasn't familiar with it. Some of you are like, that's creepy. Yes, it is. I admit. But you know, I kind of think of it this way. I don't know, do you guys have much in the way of bumper stickers here in your country? Do people put stickers on cars? In the States, it's very common. Like people put stickers on the back of their car of all kinds of things, their political affiliation, their school their kid goes to. Like Americans, we're weird. So in America, this is a perfectly acceptable thing to do because they used a work email address. Obviously, I can see that it's a work email address, therefore I know where they work. The assumption is pretty fair. He said, Renata, when I see that your email address works at this, I want to do some research with your company. So that's his opening pattern interruption. The next step then is proactivity. Listen to this next piece here. I noticed you're working at one of the biggest staffing agencies in the United States. Also, your team was awarded and recognized as America's best staffing agency. Based on my experience, customers like yourself value time, efficiency, and professionalism. I can also imagine you'd like to get many things done before you come to the dealership to make sure it's a fast and easy process and experience. Is he speaking her language? Probably yes or yes. Okay. So she's reading her way of thinking in the formatting of the email, the cleanliness of the email, the bullet pointing of the email. It's all speaking to that brain, okay? This is the part he does next, permission. I can help, and here's how. The only thing I would have wanted to change, if I had had a chance to change it, is I would have simply turned it instead of I can help, I would like to help, or please allow me to help. Only change I would have made, but he says I can help, and here's how. That's permission. Now we get into possibilities. Listen to these possibilities. I can send you more pictures and videos about this vehicle. I can find another vehicle in our inventory you might want to be interested in. I can bring the vehicle to your workplace to save time, or I can also take care of the paperwork prior to your arrival. Can you tell me this? Of these possibilities, is there a really good chance that at least one of these she's going to really like? Would you think so? So when she reads this, what is she reading in her emotional state? Convenience, ease, stressless. Her brain starts going, thank you. I like the way you think. Then step 6 is provide a clear call to action. Please feel free to let me know which one is most important to you. You can simply reply with 1, 2, 3, or 4 on your subject line. Is one of these something that would work for you? Tell me the level of effort I'm requiring from her at this point. How much effort is it? I mean, really, she has to just go, reply, 1, send. How much brain power, stress load am I putting on her world? None. And in my brain, if I'm stressed and someone shows me they can communicate with me in a clear, concise, stressless way, and then the only thing they ask me to do takes literally 2 clicks, my brain goes, thank you for understanding me. Step 7 then is the PS statement. His PS statement here, if you're not familiar with our location, you can simply click here for directions. If you'd like to see our amazing reviews before making your decision, please read our reviews here. And that is his PS statement. Here was her reply in less than an hour. She says, Tim, well played. Some of the best customer service I've ever seen. The offer to bring the car to my work is amazingly convenient. I love it. Can you remind me which car it was? Now, here's the point. I think this is fascinating to me. She's impressed with who he is, doesn't even remember what car it was. At this point, doesn't even seem to care. Right? See, we make it about the transaction and we make it about the vehicle. I make it about the person and about the experience. So I make a deeper connection that way. She says, I'm actually taking a half day today, so I may be able to just come in. Feel free to text me at this number here. We now have her full name, an offer to come in, which is a reverse appointment. We now have her cell number and an offer to text, which wasn't in the original lead. And we also have her work line, which also wasn't in the original lead. This, ladies and gentlemen, is called a reverse appointment. And if you were going to applause, this is the time to do so. That's right. All right. I have some time left, and I still would like to share with you some things that we're doing at my dealership. These are the general approaches that I process and teach all across the world. But as of June 9th, I now have the opportunity to do these in my own store. I no longer have to go by committee of approval. I can simply say, this is what we do. So I'd like to share with you what this looks like at my dealership with my own customers. Is that okay? Let's look into it. Here's some examples. I'm going to show you the psychology of what I call a VIP appointment. I'm going to give you a couple ones. Here's the first one here. This is an example of a family. His name was John. His wife's name is Jeanette. John had inquired about a vehicle and came in to look at it before his wife was available. He came in, we met, we visited. He said the experience was great. He wanted his wife to come in and bring the family so they could look at the vehicle. And this is my video I sent to John and Jeanette because they were supposed to come back in the next day. And of course, Jeanette, I'm Jonathan Dawson. I got to meet with John earlier today. I just wanted to share with you, your vehicle is waiting. I've got the vehicle here for you to look at. I've got some wonderful things to show you guys. And just so you know, fit all kinds of stuff in here. Kids, gear, 3 car seats easily. Look there, do you see under there? Can you see what it said? Could you see what it said on there? It was too quick maybe. It said surprise waiting. Inside that package there, it said surprise waiting. So I sent that to John and Jeanette to let them know that the vehicle was waiting. This vehicle was staged about 45 minutes prior to the appointed time, because my hope was that if someone sets an appointment to come in at 1 o'clock, that they actually keep their appointment. And if they're running late, I want to know. If they're coming early, I want to know. So the easiest way to get somebody to actually let you know if they're coming is do something they don't expect of value, making the reciprocity of their conscience kick in, where they begin to feel, if they're doing all this work for me and I don't show, that makes me a bad person. It's called guilt tripping. We're very good at it. So by doing this extra thing for them, it causes their brain to go, if we're running late, we should let them know. If we're not coming, we should let them know. They're doing all this extra work for us. So we staged the car. Well, they did end up, we sent them this text here for them. There's a thank you note, and we actually got her favorite coffee from Starbucks and his favorite coffee and staged them in custom mugs that go in the center console in preparation. They have not agreed to buy the car. They're simply there to look. Okay? This is them arriving. All right, Jeanette, yours is the one with the straw.
Thank you.
All right. She got her iced coffee. She's not used to this. Come on, she is too.
It's all on John. He said
John told us exactly how his queen gets treated.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh. Can you open that? Yeah. What?
What is that? Oh, no. It was a surprise.
2 $25 Starbucks gift cards are waiting for them. Noah found it. Because I asked them, I said, hey, in preparation for your arrival, for your appointment, right around the time you guys are coming in, that's usually when I run and get a coffee break, a midday coffee break. Since I'm going to be running and grabbing coffee anyway, do you prefer Dunkin's or do you prefer Starbucks? He said, oh, my wife loves Starbucks. I said, do you drink Starbucks? He said, I'm just a black coffee guy, but she's a oat milk, oat frappa thing, whatever foam thingy. We wrote it down. And so this is, again, a gift. Now, I have built into my budgets, I have a different budgeting strategy. I don't have acquisition budget strategy for traditional marketing. I have customer loyalty and retention strategy budgets. I go, I'm going to spend money wowing people and creating raving fan advocates. I'm not going to spend money telling people I'm the cheapest. I'm going to spend money telling people I'm the best experience you'll ever have in your entire lifetime, and you'll want to tell all your friends. That's my strategy. This is another video of me for another customer. This gentleman had come in, similar situation. Lawrence came in, looked at a vehicle. His wife was not available. And so after he left, he said, my wife and I will probably come back in a few days. And so I created this message for them. And obviously, Marcus, if you're watching this, pleasure to meet you. Stephanie, I'm not going to get a chance to probably meet you. I'm heading to the house, but I'm here with Marshall, and your car is ready right there. Anyways, Marshall will take great care of you, and we look forward to helping you out. Thanks. So her car was staged, ready for her arrival for her appointment. She has not yet bought the car. This is her coming to look at a car. When she walked in, she got her phone out. Why? She wants to take photos and video of the car she's there to look at.
She loves stuff like this.
Well, she deserves stuff like this.
Say it again.
She deserves stuff like this.
Say it again.
Huh?
Yes.
Come on, Lawrence.
Yes.
I can tell by the caliber of man that you are that she deserves stuff like this. See, I could just tell. So, of course, inside the car is staged a thank you note for giving us your opportunity to work with you today, and her favorite drinks are in the cup holder. While she's on the test drive, Lawrence shared this with me.
This is top notch.
Thank you for that.
Not that you hear it. I was talking to my wife and I was telling her before we left.
Yeah,
And soon as I said that, the telephone rang.
yeah, that's it.
And I was like, who is that?
Yeah.
I was looking at her phone. She was calling and saying, look, we're in the process.
Yeah, how can we make it more efficient?
Yeah, we're in the process of getting the paperwork together. I'm sitting down with the owner,
Yeah.
going over this.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to Brandon. He's the paper guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And sure enough, we walk in the door. The owner came.
Yeah.
I'm saying, you guys came out to greet my wife and the family. And then we met with the paper guy just quickly. And the whole experience, that's all I can say.
Thank you. Thank you. What's interesting about Lawrence is he said, John, I've bought 6 vehicles in the last 3 years, including a Porsche that cost $130,000. I bought a Harley-Davidson motorcycle recently. Of all the vehicles we bought, buying a commuter car for my wife, that vehicle, by the way, that we staged is a 2008 Honda CR-V with 80,000 miles on it. We treated it like it was a brand new $80,000 car. She came in to buy a commuter car and got a better experience than they got at a Porsche dealership buying a new car from Porsche. That's what I'm creating, because how I view things determines how I do things. I'm viewing things differently. It's not about setting an appointment, it's about creating a customer experience. This is called the never-ending delivery. This is the delivery of the car. When someone buys a car from us, this is the first ever never-ending delivery done at my dealership. It was one of the early sales that we ever had. This is Peyton. She's the delivery queen at my store. She's going to walk you through it.
I have a sign that's with her name on it, and she has her big red bow ready for her delivery.
All right, what else is going on in the car? You got some surprises?
I do. I placed some envelopes.
Can we show
around the car.
some stuff off? Let's show 'em.
This is an Easter
So this
egg
is called
hunt.
what kind of delivery? Never ending.
Never-ending delivery.
This is the
She was brand new. It's her first time.
So right here, where her
Look at this.
spare tire is, if she's ever in danger or needs help, I put the roadside assistance number on there, and I also put
So that's a little thank you card with a special message, and it says, hey, if you found this card, you probably need help on the side of the road. Here's roadside assistance. Here's our service manager, okay? What else do we have? Got a couple other spots?
I put one in the visor up
Okay.
here.
So we got a hidden note up here as well. Boom. Nice. Okay. Where else?
And then I put one on the driver's side right right here.
Okay.
Underneath the floor mats.
What does it say?
It says if she needs a car wash, please let me know and I can schedule one for her.
So it's underneath the floor mat, so obviously if she's lifting her floor mat, she's probably cleaning her car.
Yes.
So then she'll find the note.
Yes.
And it'll say, hey, next time you need a car wash, just let me
Yes,
know.
Just let me know.
And then you've got a little gift bag for her with some treats inside.
I do.
Okay, so we got some
There's our
stuff,
air
some
freshener.
air fresheners, keep your car smelling new.
You got a
Chick-fil-A
Chick-fil-A
card.
gift card.
Yeah,
And then
extra set of
another
keys, and another thank you card.
thank you envelope.
This goes under the gas cap behind the door of every gas tank. It says, congrats on your new truck. I still can't believe you pulled the trigger on this. I'm honored to have you be able to help you guys. Here's a couple bucks towards your first tank. A $2 bill, by the way, is a very unique thing in the United States. It's available to anybody, but very few people have ever owned one. Some people don't even know that it exists. It is U.S. currency, and it's available. You have to order it. So we order them in bulk, and every single car that gets delivered gets a $2 bill behind the gas cap. Many people who own a $2 bill in the United States, they can tell you exactly where their $2 bill is. They can tell you the story of where they got it. This is symbolism. This is memory. This is causing people to never forget who helped them buy their car. This is the delivery of Stephanie on her 2008 Honda CR-V.
Got a little surprise waiting for you. Yep, I think you can open your eyes now. Broke out
She
the
gets out
red
her phone
carpet
again.
for you. Marshall's got a little gift bag there for you as well.
Her husband, who you met earlier, Lawrence, who did the little testimonial for me, was so impressed by the experience we gave his wife, he wanted to buy a car too. So he came back a couple months later and got himself a truck. As you can see, we've upgraded our scenario here for our delivery.
Congratulations. Come on, Lawrence, walk the red carpet.
There's Stephanie ringing the bell for her husband.
Yes, we'll do that after. You enjoy the moment. I enjoyed the moment when we saw something. Wow. 3, 2,
Get up there and face me. We're going to take some pictures real quick.
3, 2, 1.
And yes, John and Jeanette, who came in to look at that vehicle for their VIP appointment, did buy the car. And we did it again. Every customer who buys a car from me gets a swag bag. Inside the swag bag are hats, can koozies, keychains, custom mugs. We put their name. We have our own printer in dealership. We print their name on their mugs and give them custom mugs that they can take with them. Everybody's so worried about and trying to figure out how to acquire a customer. No one seems to care how to retain one. No one seems to care about causing that customer experience to generate the next sale. I'm not trying to figure out how to go buy a customer. I'm trying to figure out how to win over people. And because I'm in the experience business, I just happen to have cars for sale. My whole process is about figuring out how do I out-experience my competition and create raving fan advocates. Because you're going to get a lead. You're paying for them. But what are you doing to maximize that opportunity so that they don't want to negotiate, so that they close quicker and easier, and then that they generate the next lead? Every car you sell should generate the next lead. Your cost of acquisition should incrementally keep going down. The longer you've been in business, the less you should have to bribe the public to do business with you. Advertising, my friends, is the tax you must pay on delivering an unremarkable experience. The more you spend in advertising, the greater tax you're paying. These are delivery baskets. Each salesperson is empowered to pick a customer a month, and these baskets are delivered to the customer's work office. Each salesperson picks a customer a month. These are my numbers. I do confess I'm new. I'm only 4.5 months in business. Last month, for the month of October, Stephen Webb self-generated 61% of all of his sales that came from referrals or people that came in off of his social marketing. He had 22 total sales. Robert Diaz self-generated 57% with 21 total sales. Peyton Reed delivered 53% self-generated on 17 sales. 3 salespeople, and we sold 63 cars with 3 people. Now, I don't know if you know this, but in Mitsubishi, the national average is 8 cars per person. My average was 21 cars per person, and I'm 4 months in. Here was my ad spend. My total advertising cost last month was $2,078 to sell 63 cars. If you translate 2,078 into 63 sales, it cost me $32.98 per retail sale to sell a car last month. If you take out the self-generated sales and only look at transactional customers that came in through something other than a relationship, my cost per sale was $81.49. My personal goal is to get that below $50. My personal goal is to get my total cost per sales under $20 per sale in advertising cost. Here's why. Because how I view things determines how I do things. And so, I see us as raving fan advocate creators masquerading as a Mitsubishi car dealership. My question for you is, how do you view what you do? And with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. And it's always funny when you see a professional, they only leave 1 minute on the clock. It's amazing. Heeft er iemand nog een vraag voor Jonathan voordat we naar de koffie gaan? Ik heb nog tijd voor 1 vraag. Niet allemaal tegelijk, dus hoeft het niet. Your applause there.
They were jealous. Did you hear him?
Oké, nou zullen we een groter applaus geven voor Jonathan Dawson. Dan gaan we een half uur naar de...